Shine upon you, all love surround you, and the
Good morning, Unity of Sarasota. Does anybody recognize that little lick I was playing? It's Father's Day. Is it Father's Day? No, it's not Father's Day, but it feels like one. We got a lot of father songs anyway. Let's do this one. This is a great song by Harry Chapin. The other day came to the world in the usual way. There were planes to catch and bills to pay. He learned to walk while there was a way. I was talking before I knew it, and as he grew, he said, I'm gonna be like you, Dad. You know I'm gonna be like you. And the cat's in the cradle with the silver spoon. The little boy blue and the man in the moon. When you're coming home, Dad, I don't know when, but we'll get together then, son. You know we'll have a good time then. My son turned 10 just the other day. Said, thanks for the ball, Dad, come on, let's play. Can you teach me to throw? I said, not today, got a lot to do. Said, that's okay. Then he walked away and a smile never came. Said, gonna be like him, yeah. You know I'm gonna be like him. And the cat's in the cradle with the silver spoon. Little boy blue and the man in the moon. When you're coming home, now I don't know when, but we'll get together then. You know we'll have a good time then. Well, he came from college just the other day. So much like a man, I just had to say, son, I'm proud of you. Can you sit for a while? His dad shook his head and he said with a smile, what I'd really like, Dad, is to borrow the car keys. See you later, can I have them, please? And the cat's in the cradle and the silver spoon. Little boy blue and the man in the moon. When you're coming home, son, I don't know when, but we'll get together then. You know I have a good time then. Long since retired, my son's moved away. I called him up just the other day. I said, I'd like to see you if you don't mind. He said, I'd love to, Dad, if I could find the time. See, my new job's a hassle and the kids are the flu, but it's sure nice talking to you, Dad. It's been sure nice talking to you. And as I hung up the phone, it occurred to me, you'd grown up just like me. My boy was just like me. And the cat's in the cradle with a silver spoon. The little boy blue and the man in the moon. When you're coming home, Dad, I don't know when, but we'll get together then. You know I have a good time then. Yeah, thank you.
Rob Satori doing his best Harry Chapin. Thank you.
Yeah.
You know, Cats in the Cradle. It's a song about a father who doesn't spend much time with his kids, and the kid grows up to be just like his dad. A little bit sad. So we're going to see if we can shift that a little bit here. So thank you, Rob. Appreciate it. Good morning. I'm Reverend Dr. Susie Shadle. I welcome you to Unity of Sarasota, where something wonderful is always happening. It happens on Sunday mornings, it happens on Wednesday evenings, and it happens every day and every night in between. There's always something happening here. If you don't know what it is, just take a look at the website or the newsletter, or better yet, just stop by. Just stop by and say, hey, what's happening? Okay? Because am I right or am I right? There's always something going on, right? Okay, good. All right, now that we got that straight, I just want you to know that Unity of Sarasota is a beacon of light and love, opening minds, touching hearts, and transforming lives. And the reason that our community is that is because each one of you is a beacon of light and love. And when you shine that light, you make an impact, a positive impact on the people you meet. And in fact, you make a positive impact that goes beyond the people that you meet to people you may never meet. So never doubt how impactful, how powerful your presence in the world is, and own it and let it shine. We are also an inclusive spiritual community that embraces empowering and life-affirming practical spirituality for richer living right here and right now. And we join with our unity movement worldwide in creating a world that works for all. And so we are happy to have some newcomers and guests joining us this morning. And so you can be part of that great vision of creating a world that works for all as well. So if you're with us for the first time, or you're a newcomer, a guest, a visitor, I'd invite you to stand and remain standing for just a moment. We like to find out where people visit us from, because they come from far and wide. Anyone first time here today? I think there's some shy people, because there's some people that I don't really know.
Everybody's been here before. Deja vu, right? No?
Yeah.
No new?
All right, well, this is a bummer because I don't get to hand out stuff. Or actually, Donna doesn't get to hand out stuff. Oh, well. So I'll throw my gifts away there in the basket. However, Donna, don't run off. Donna Stewart is our board member of the day. She will be at the Red Umbrella information or welcome table in the fellowship hall. So if you are relatively new here, please go see Donna. She can answer some questions for you and show you around a little bit and let you in on all the good stuff that is happening here. So thank you, Donna, for your service, and she'll be in there waiting to greet you after the service. I also want to take this opportunity. Could you go back, please? Thank you. I'd also like to take this opportunity to welcome those who are joining us on the live stream on our website, unityofsarasota.org. You can go to that website and click onto the services tab, and then scroll down to whatever service you want to watch either live, or you can watch it recorded there later on, or you can go to our Facebook page or our YouTube page and catch the recording later as well. Now, I do want to say something. Jerry, stand up for just a moment. I want to thank Jerry Stricker, who has for some years now and some future years going forward, paying for that live stream service. Thank you, Jerry. And he wanted me to say something today because he would like to invite some of you to join in to help support our live stream service as well. So if you'd like to donate to that, if you write a check or whatever, or put money in an envelope, just write on there that it's for the live stream, and we appreciate your contribution. Thank you so much, Jerry. Thank you. So, wherever you may be, whether you're joining us from the ethers out there, we can feel your energy, so let's wave to them. Or if you're here in person, however you're joining your energy with ours, you are most welcome here. And wherever you may be in your spiritual journey, you are welcome here. Because as we journey together, we learn so much more about ourselves and each other. And it's a powerful, powerful journey when we make it together. Okay, now, Ben, you may go to the next slide. Okay. Okay, maybe not. All right, there we go. Today, this very day, after the service, I will be doing a workshop called Moving from Fear to Faith. And I've been kind of scoping things out. I don't know if it's true of any of you, but I'm scoping out the headlines and things. And people appear to be fairly fearful about a number of things right now. So I thought, well, this is a great time to move us from fear to faith. So this is a really fun and very purposeful workshop. It's fun because you get to color, but the coloring is quite purposeful. It's very spiritual coloring, and you'll understand that when you come in there and do the workshop. Those of you who are participating in the workshop, I have brought lunch for you as well. So please join me in A and B at 12:15, and it should be about an hour and a half. And I guarantee you will have transformed fear into faith by the time you leave or shortly thereafter, okay? So join me. I'd love to have you in there. It is a love offering, and all of the money goes to Unity of Sarasota. So I invite you to donate generously for that. Next week, the third Wednesday, we're starting this. We did this before. We're starting it back. Third Sundays, we are putting as our Bring a Covered Dish to Share Sunday. So it's an opportunity for us to break bread together, and we're going to break y'all's bread. So y'all bring bread, or there'll be nothing to break. And then you'll just be stuck talking to each other. So everybody bring something yummy, and we'll share it, and we'll have a great time. So third Sundays, starting next Sunday. Yum, I can hardly wait. Somebody bring ham, please. And save me a piece. All right, next. Also, coming to us next, all right, is Gabriel Nelson Sears will be with us for an entire week from the 21st through the 28th of August. On the Sunday the 21st and Sunday the 28th, he will be doing a singing bowl meditation in the sanctuary from 10 to 10:25. You don't want to miss that. Please come for that. There's not going to be a lot of words and all that kind of stuff. It's just going to be bathed in the tones of singing bowls. You want to be here for that. Tell your friends as well to come and be bathed. And next Sunday as well, after service, Gabriel will be doing a Toning in the Tiwa Tradition workshop from 1 to 3. That's $30. And some of that money does come back to Unity of Sarasota. So please check it out. Do some toning. It really, the vibration moves things in your body. It's a very healing experience. And we hope that you will join in that as well. Okay. Rob, we're doing the Unity song. Okay?
Would you all stand and sing? Every prayer is answered, every prayer is heard, every thought and feeling, every spoken word, what your soul has longed for, what your heart can feel is already here, is already real. There is no one out there, there is no one else. You hold all the answers deep inside yourself. There's a voice that whispers, there's no you, no me. There's just one, there's just unity. One power, one presence, one light to lead the way. All loving, all knowing, that answers when you pray. When the world looks darkest and your eyes can't see, gather all your troubles, give them all to me. I am always with you, I will always be. I am one, I am unity. We are one, we are unity.
So I invite you to sit down. Before I move us into prayer, I just noticed someone's here that I want to acknowledge real quickly. Stephanie, would you stand up, please? This is Stephanie Slavin. Get to know that face. Yes? Isn't that great to get applause just for being? That's exactly why we should get it. The reason I'm acknowledging Stephanie is because I'm going to give you a little teaser here. Stephanie's going to be doing a really important, powerful workshop in September, or class actually, a 3-part class in September. You'll hear more about it in the next few weeks, but I want you to see this lovely woman who's going to be doing that because you're going to want to sign up. So thank you, Stephanie. So I'm going to invite us to move within to the very center of our being. The best way to do that is to close our eyes, if that feels comfortable. Relax into the chair. Imagine that the support of the chair is the support of spirit, lifting you, holding you, being one with you. And let's take a deep breath in to the very center of our being and allow that breath of God to fill your heart space. And then release that breath fully and relax just a little bit more into that supportive spirit. Knowing that truly the very essence and authenticity of our being is being called forth by that very spirit. And so as we take another deep breath in, know that it is the in-breath, the inspiration of spirit that we breathe in. And as we breathe out that inspiration to share it with all whom we meet. We are inspired and we become the inspiration. And as we become that inspiration, our imagination and our creativity go wild. We create things we never even dreamed possible for ourselves and others. Because we're reminded in every imaginative and creative moment that we are one with Father, Mother, God, Spirit, and that Spirit is expressing itself in and through and as each one of us, individually, diversely, and yet we remain one in the unity of all creation. And so once more, take a deep breath in and feel that breath of God gently massage your heart, massaging it open, and then release your breath fully. Knowing that you are always filled with the living Spirit and surrounded by the living Spirit, one with Father, Mother, God, Spirit, always. For this reminder of the truth of our being and our willingness to live that truth in all that we are, think, say, and do, I am eternally grateful. And so it is, and together we say, thank God within and all around us. Amen. And so let's say our statement of being together, please. There is only one presence, one power in the universe and in my life. God, who is perfect life, perfect intelligence, perfect love, and perfect substance. I am an expression of God. You are an expression of God. We are expressions. Oh, you know what? I skipped a word, didn't I?
Yeah. That's all right. You're an individual.
Wow.
You can do it.
Thanks for covering me. Wow, how did that happen? Whoops, first mistake all year. So Rob, save me from myself.
Okay. I get to do Cat Stevens now. That's cool too, because
Cat Stevens.
Yeah.
Yusuf Islam is what he goes by now.
it's not time to make a change. Just relax, take it easy. You're still young, that's your fault. There's so much you have to know. Find a girl, settle down. If you want to, you can marry. Look at me, I am old, but I'm happy. I was once as you are now, and I know that it's not easy to be calm when you found something going on. Take your time, think a lot. Oh, I think of everything you've got. I'll still be here tomorrow, but your dreams may not. How can I try to explain? When I do, he turns away again. It'll always be the same old story. From the moment I could talk, I was ordered to listen. Now there's a way, and I know that I have to go away. I know I have to go. It's not time to make a change. Just sit down and take it slowly. You're still young, that's your fault. There's so much you have to go through. Find a girl, settle down. If you want, you can marry. Look at me, I am old, but I'm happy. All the times that I've cried, keeping all of the things I knew inside. Oh, it's hard, but it's harder to ignore it. If they were right, I'd agree, but it's them, they know, not me. Now there's a way, and I know that I have to go away. I know I have to go. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. So there's a theme here. It's another father losing connection with his child. And in fact, I think what contributes to that is he's probably lost connection with his child wisdom, child self within. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that today. But first, let's start as we usually do with our core value affirmation. So I'll ask that you recite this with me, please. We heal false beliefs and reveal our wholeness and oneness through the spiritual practices of visioning, catching God's vision, meditation, affirmative prayer, spiritual study, giving of time, talent, and treasure, sacred service, and more. And the reason there's an and more is because I believe that anything can become a spiritual practice if we come at it with the right inside approach. So when we come with a sacred approach to just about anything, it becomes a spiritual practice for us. So those of you who quilt, and I think there are some here who have quilted in the past, that's a spiritual practice. Those of you who play music, that's a spiritual practice. Those of you who do gardening, that's a spiritual practice. So whatever resonates with you, make it a spiritual practice for yourselves. Okay, so I started last week asking that we hold the intention and the consciousness to attract more youth and families to Unity of Sarasota so that we have someone to leave this wonderful legacy to. And so I ask you to hold that intention and that consciousness, not only throughout this month, but always, that we attract that younger energy, that childlike wisdom that can come to us through attracting youth and families. And so this month, I've chosen to explore the allegory by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, Le Petit Prince, which is the Little Prince, the Little Prince. It was written for grown-ups who have not completely lost their child impressionability, childlike view of the world, and ability to dream. I hope that's all of you. I've often said that our children are our wisdom keepers, and they're here to help us to rediscover our own spiritual wee wisdom within. Unlike the fathers we heard about in those two songs, where we still have that relationship with that wee wisdom within. I think it's interesting that Unity calls its little, TOTS curriculum wee wisdom, because they are wise beyond their years. Thankfully, because when we get beyond our years, we start to get unwise sometimes. So while the story of the Little Prince is about a little prince from a small asteroid who meets a stranded pilot in the middle of the Sahara Desert, the lessons that the Little Prince teaches the pilot about his adventures around the universe are really about our own soul journey of self-discovery, finding that we all still have that vibrant, wise little child within us. Occasionally, you might want to sit down and have a conversation with that kid within you, because it's stored up a lot of wisdom that we have since paid little attention to and forgotten. You know, all of us grown-ups were children at one time, but only a few of us remember that. But never forget this, that we are precious beings made up of imagination and creativity and spontaneous joy and spiritual wisdom. Every single one of us is that. Own that from the inside out. Don't be childish, but do be childlike. There's a difference. The Little Prince reawakens the dormant, free-spirited imagination, innocence, and sense of adventure, awe, and wonder in the pilot and in us. If you've not read the whole book, I certainly would encourage it. So the Little Prince symbolizes that innocence, that imagination, that wonder, and that insightful wisdom that so often, you hear a little kid say something, and at first you think, oh, isn't that cute? And then you stop to really pay attention and you go, wow, how did they know that? I used to have a little guy in my church in Seattle. He was 5, and I was convinced that he was the next Dalai Lama, because he was so wise. He would say things that were just like profound out of his mouth. And, a lot of people at first would say, oh, how cute. But then when you really paid attention to it, it was like, wait a minute, this is a clue. This is a clue into the truth of the universe. Pay attention to these kids. They have not put layers upon layers upon layers of varnish on themselves. They're the raw, real deal. So pay attention. If you don't have a child of your own or a grandchild of your own, go borrow one. Be sure to ask permission or you'll be arrested. Okay? Do not stalk the children. Now, the Little Prince, as we recall from last week in our story, was lied to by his beloved Rose. He has a beloved Rose on his planet, and he caught her in a lie. And so he experiences the painful side of love. He had experienced the wonderful parts of love, but then he experiences the painful side of love and begins to distrust his beloved Rose. And so he decides that he needs to leave his planet in search of the truth. And so his curiosity and his sense of adventure move him to explore other planets so that he can gain more knowledge and hopefully more wisdom along the way. So we're going to go on the journey with him. So the first planet that the Little Prince goes to, he encounters a king in a glorious fur cloak on a throne. May we see the king, please? And there he is. There he is. Notice his planet is also fairly small. Now the king, when he meets the Little Prince, the king claims to reign over the entire universe. But the irony is that he has no subjects. But he's thrilled when the little prince arrives because now, finally, he has a subject, and he starts ordering the little prince around. The little prince is, he's a free thinker, and so he doesn't really obey the orders immediately. And so what happens is that the king decides that he will tailor his orders to fit the actual actions of the little prince so that it will appear that the little prince is abiding by his orders. Clever if you can get away with it. The little prince kind of plays along for a moment, and then he gets bored with this little game and says, yeah, this is kind of ridiculous, so I think I'm ready to leave to go to my next adventure. And so the king really wants the little prince to stay with him, and so he orders the little prince to become the minister of justice for his planet. But the little prince says, well, that's just crazy because there's nobody here to judge, just like there's nobody here for you to reign over. So the prince proceeds to get ready to make his journey to the next planet. And the king then says, all right, then I will make you my ambassador, creating the illusion that the little prince, in traveling away, is actually obeying the king once again to become his traveling ambassador. So, as you have probably figured out, this is ridiculous. So the king shows us that irrational need for grown-ups sometimes to be obeyed in their narrow-minded idea that they need power and domination over other people. So they're really not open. They're narrow-minded and not open to the ideas and the needs of other people. It's all about me lording it over you, right? Now, you can close your eyes for this or not. If you close your eyes, nobody can see you. A little bit of kid wisdom there for you. If you close your eyes, nobody can see you. So how might you be living this limitation of grown-ups in your own life, that need for control or domination or for you to have power over someone or something? So just think for a moment where in your life you might be being a little bit of the king. The little prince would certainly encourage you to give that up. And so what might be the little prince's advice as a spiritual antidote to this lording it over? Possibly the little prince might encourage you to do some free thinking of your own, to be your own person. So think for a moment, what might be your spiritual antidote to behaving like the king? So the little prince moves on, and he goes to the second planet. So I'll invite you to come back now. You can open your eyes if you'll be seen and see. Second planet, the little prince encounters a vain man. A vain man. There he is. There he is. He's the vain man. And he asks the little prince to clap in admiration for him. And so the prince goes, all right. He claps. And the vain man tips his hat in acknowledgement. Then the little prince says that he really doesn't understand this concept of admiration. And so the vain man explains that admiring someone means to see him as the handsomest, the best dressed, the richest, the most intelligent man on the planet. And the little prince says, pointing out the absurdity of that, because the vain man is the sole inhabitant of the planet. Sometimes we are the sole inhabitant of the planet of our own little universe. Oh, I can tell some of you have been there. So the vain man reveals another common grown-up limitation, the need to be admired, the need to be acknowledged and justified, if you will. But he's looking for outside-in validation rather than true validation, which comes from within. So the little prince wonders, why not love and admire oneself just as we are? There's a thought. There's a thought. So and I'd invite you again, close your eyes if you don't want to be seen. And ask yourself, how might I be in this admiration need that grown-ups sometimes have? How might I be looking for acknowledgement, admiration, validation? Then ask yourself, what kid wisdom, spiritual antidote might the little prince encourage us to do instead of looking for that outside validation, knowing that the truest validation comes from spirit within, our highest authenticity within. So think about a way that you can apply a spiritual antidote to the need for recognition and admiration and validation. And so let's journey on with the little prince. He leaves for the next planet, thinking that grown-ups seem awfully strange. And so on the third planet, he meets a drunkard, surrounded by empty and full liquor bottles. And there he is now. The little prince asks the drunkard why he drinks so much. And the drunkard claims that he drinks in order to forget that he's ashamed of how much he drinks. Some of you might relate to that or know someone who does. Confused, the little prince prepares to continue on his journey because he thinks this is just getting weirder by the minute, or weirder by the planet, I guess. And so the little prince observes that grown-ups are very, very strange indeed. And so what happens with the drunkard is that he really epitomizes the faulty circular logic that serves only to conceal the truth from himself. I drink in order to forget that I am ashamed of drinking too much. You know, grown-ups sometimes deceive themselves rather than grow, have personal, deep growth within, or create true connections and relationships with other people that is a great way of each of us growing. Or better yet, a relationship with spirit, which is the best way for us to deepen, expand, and grow. But at least, the drunkard being aware of his shame indicates some level of self-awareness that he is empty inside. So maybe there's a little bit of hope for the drunkard. You know, I was that guy at one time in my life. And that little bit of awareness made me who I am today, which is just this side of the vein man, I guess. You know, I'm fantastic. But don't acknowledge me because I'll just do it myself. It's okay. All right? So just take a moment again, and close your eyes if you want, and ask yourself, have I ever been, or do I know someone who has been in this limitation of grown-ups, this limitation of needing to either drink or practice some sort of diversion in order to hide the truth from themselves? So have you ever done that, or do you know someone who has? Just think about that for a moment. And so, not setting up camp and limitation, let's move on to where the Little Prince might give us some advice to move into some spiritual antidote for that limitation of hiding from ourselves. Perhaps spiritual discipline or spiritual practices would be the antidote. Who knows? You think what it is for yourself. What advice might the Little Prince give you? And so the Little Prince journeys on to the fourth planet, where he runs into a businessman immersed in counting. He's so immersed in the counting that he almost doesn't even notice that the Little Prince arrives. And the Little Prince tries to get his attention and repeatedly asks him, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" And finally, exasperated, the businessman explains that he's counting the stars that set lazy people to idle dreaming. But I'm doing something serious. I'm counting those stars. Other people idly dream about the stars. And he counts the stars because he says he owns them all. He owns the stars. And the Little Prince asks what the businessman does with all those stars. And the businessman says, "I count them, and then I put them in a bank, and then I get richer and richer, and I can buy more stars." So the Little Prince offers this information. He says, "I own 3 volcanoes and a rose on my planet." And then the Little Prince gets pretty bold and direct with the businessman, and he says, "I am of use to my 3 volcanoes and my rose because I care for them. But you, Mr. Businessman, don't care for your stars, and therefore you are of no use to them." Boom, right between the eyes. Does it wake up the businessman? Nope. So this businessman shows that grown-up fixation sometimes with numbers and a contempt for idle dreaming, head in the clouds and the stars. That businessman has an inability to engage with his imagination and with creativity and with making useful anything that he does. And so the businessman's greed is juxtaposed with the Little Prince's care, his care for and his relationship with all of the things on his planet. So again, go within. How might you or one you know be living this limitation like the businessman? That you're fixated on outer things, on accumulation, if you will, of gathering up stuff. In what ways are you like that, or someone you know, perhaps someone close to you? Now imagine what the Little Prince's spiritual antidote might be to that uselessness of counting and accumulating. You know, I once had a clutter coach who said to me, "Don't purchase and buy and bring something into your home if you're not willing to have a relationship with it and manage it. Don't just accumulate stuff." So perhaps the Little Prince would say, yeah, maybe a caring and useful relationship. Maybe that resonates with you. Listen to the Little Prince and see what advice he gives you. So all of the little prince's insights and advice go over the businessman's head, and he is left speechless, and the little prince decides to move on, observing that grown-ups are truly bizarre. So he arrives on the 5th planet, which is the tiniest planet, and there's only room for a lamp, a street lamp, and a lamplighter who keeps it going. And there they are now. The lamplighter is constantly putting on and turning off the lamp. It's such a small planet that day and night is like this. So he's constantly, every minute, he's changing the lamp. And he's exhausted. Little Prince, though, admires the lamplighter for his faithfulness and his sense of duty. He's right there doing it. And the lamplighter, the little prince feels, performs a beautiful, useful, caring task, and therefore it is essential and important and powerful. And the lamplighter thinks of and is useful and has a relationship with something other than himself. So for once, somebody's not just thinking of themselves. So there's hope for these grown-ups that the little prince is meeting. But the little prince has some advice for the lamplighter. He says, why don't you walk slowly and follow the sunset so that the day lasts longer and then you won't have to work so fast? Sounds good to me. Some advice to slow down a little bit. Enjoy the sunset. Follow the sunset and have a little bit of respite. Gee, I could use some of that advice. Probably we all could. But the lamplighter rejects this advice, not wanting to explore anything new. Nope, this is the way it is. This is the way it's always going to be. Boom, 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 light, unlight, on and on like a treadmill. So the lamplighter is so sad. He's a sad case because of his blind obedience, his blind faith to his duty. He actually told the prince that he was ordered to do this, but there's nobody around to do the ordering. It's some invisible orderer. And so this blind faith, this blind obedience drives him to a lack of desire to explore anything else, even on his own planet, or to find a way to find true satisfaction and meaning in the work that he does do. Anybody ever had a career where you couldn't find the true satisfaction and meaning, and yet there you were spinning and spinning and spinning for years? Yeah, I'm seeing some heads shake. And then one day, hopefully you woke up. The light went on. So think about this. How have you been living the limitation like the lamplighter in your own life? How have you been living this limitation of sort of chasing your own tail, if you will? That's a nice phone thing there. So how have you been living this limitation? And better yet, move on to listen to the little prince's advice about how to let go of that limitation. Maybe it's to have a little more curiosity, a little more sense of exploration and adventure. Who knows? Listen to the little prince's advice for you as a way to give up this limitation of chasing your own tail. And so with deep empathy and caring for the lamplighter, the little prince moves on to the next planet. So here he is at the 6th planet, and he meets a geographer who also happens to be a scholar and a documenter. There he is there. He's looking through books, he's writing things down, he's keeping records. He knows the location of all of the seas and all of the rivers and all of the mountains and all of the towns and all of the deserts. He's got all the knowledge. And the little prince then asks the geographer about his own planet. And the geographer says that he doesn't know anything about his own planet. He says, I'm far too important to go off exploring and gallivanting. Since other people are supposed to do the exploring, I just write down what they find. So in other words, the geographer is talking about, I have secondhand experiences. I don't have personal experiences of my own. As you remember from last week, Emerson said, get rid of your secondhand gods. You must have your own direct experience. He needs to tell that to the geographer. The geographer then asks the little prince about his planet. And the little prince tells him about his 3 volcanoes and his precious rose. And the geographer then says to the little prince that he doesn't record anything about roses or any kind of flowers because they're ephemeral and they go far too fast, so why bother? And that just really disheartened the little prince. He regrets now leaving his rose alone. He's feeling badly about that. But he thinks he has a little bit more adventure that he needs to go on, and so he asks the geographer for his recommendation of a planet to visit. And so the geographer says, I understand that Earth has a good reputation. Obviously hasn't read the headlines lately. This geographer, this self-important man, has nothing but secondhand knowledge. Secondhand knowledge. He writes about others' experiences because he has no experiences of his own. And he claims to know everything, but he remains shallow because he refuses, most importantly, to explore himself. Doesn't explore anything, including himself. So go within again for just a moment and see if there's any place in your life where you are living this limitation, where you're experiencing life vicariously through others and not having your own direct experience. Are there places where you're not allowing yourself to be all in and experience life fully? Now imagine what advice the little prince would give you as a spiritual antidote to that secondhand living. Perhaps he would advise you to turn within and grow deeply and expansively from the inside out. Listen to what advice the little prince has for you. And so thinking about and feeling about his precious rose, the little prince departs for Earth, and we will join him there next week and discover what he finds on Earth. Now, I got to tell you, there were some things I've done to prepare to do this series of talks based on the little prince. One of the first ones I did was I got this charm bracelet that has all of the key characters on it. To remind me who I can become, how I can retrieve my own kid wisdom and marry it with my grown-upness and have them blend. And as a result, I started looking at some toys, some things that I can do to put more play in my life. And so I found these really cool toys, which I will be sharing with you once I get them. And it's interesting because it probably requires an adult, a grown-up, to afford to buy them, but I think it requires a child in order to enjoy them. So we'll take that journey together when I acquire them. But the other thing that happened for me, particularly this week, was that I felt a profound sadness because I was reminded, I discovered yet again how many of these grown-ups that the little prince encounters that I have been at various times in my life and sometimes am today. And it makes me sad that I allow myself that much limitation when in fact it's absolutely unnecessary. And I would hope that I can wake up and allow that child to guide those grown-ups in me to be the best grown-ups they can possibly be, and to take the child with them. And I hope that that same thing can happen for each of you, that you can value that childlike wisdom that lives within you and allow it and your grown-up to walk hand in hand to a more vibrant and wise and powerful and fun life. You know, many of us grown-ups have lost our innocence and imagination, our ability to see what's truly essential. And too many of us care for numbers and titles and stereotypes and all those outer trappings rather than focusing on our authenticity and what is the essence of us or of each other. And I would hope that we would develop the eyes to see into the soul of one another and to draw that out at every opportunity, because it enriches all of us when we do that. Antoine de Saint-Exupéry wrote in The Little Prince, "Grown-ups like numbers. When you tell them about a new friend, they never ask, what does his voice sound like? What games does he like best? Does he collect butterflies? They ask, how old is he? How many brothers does he have? How much does he weigh? How much money does his father make? Only then do they think they know him." How sad. Don't be that grown up, please. The Little Prince, innocent, wise, and mystical, can help every single one of us to start to see what is essential and to start making time for relationships and connections and to start wasting time with drawing and painting and playing games and just being free. And so blessings on your journey of overcoming the limitations of grown-ups and transmute your grown-up limitations into the spiritual wisdom of children and have those two walk hand in hand. Grown-ups and children, they learn from each other and become better for it. So explore, grow, be useful, be caring, be free, and joyous. And so it is. And together we say, thank God within and all around us. Amen.
I know a lot of people know this song.
Sing along if you know it.
Yeah, please do. I just remember the first time I ever heard this song. It was like 1970 it came out. Graham Nash wrote it. I thought that, God, it was shocking to me. Teach your children, teach your parents well. I thought, how strange is that? Being a Catholic, being brought up Catholic and going. Yeah, it was kind of shocking to me. I just remember that feeling the first time I heard it having a negative connotation. Anyway, that's changed, obviously, right? So, we grow, we change, we grow. Jerry Garcia did the steel guitar on this, by the way. You who are on the road must have a code that you can live by, and so become yourself, because the past is just a goodbye. And teach your children well. Their father's help did slowly go by, and feed them on your dreams. The one they fix, the one you know by. Don't ever ask them why. If told you, you would cry. So just look at them and sigh, and know they love you. And you of tender years elders grew by. And so please help them with your youth. They seek the truth before they can die. And teach your parents well. Their children's hell will slowly go by. And feed them on your dreams. The one they picks, the one you know by. But don't you ever ask them why. If they told you, you would cry. So just look at them and sigh. Oh, and know they love you. Very cool. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Teach each other well. Parents and children, teach each other well. Okay. Speaking of children, do we have children today? Do you know? They've disappeared. Either that or they're teaching some grown-up something somewhere. That would be our hope. So while we go see if we have children, we're going to bless them anyway. So if you'll go to the blessing slide, we're going to bless them, and maybe they will magically appear when we do that. You ready? Oh, before you do that, don't just make this a blessing out there. Make it a blessing in here for your own child within, okay? So maybe we do this, all right? We love you, we bless you, and we appreciate you, and we see the living Spirit in you. What's the verdict? They're involved. This is kind of like that song. We didn't have time for them, and then suddenly they don't have time for us because they're involved. They're involved. There's the teacher. Are they involved in a project? Okay, this is Cheryl, their teacher, so she's representing.
Yay.
And allowing them to be involved because it's probably infinitely more essential than what we're doing in here. Okay. Thank you, Cheryl, for being their teacher and spending your time and energy and giving of yourself. We appreciate that a lot. Okay, so chaplains and ministers, if you will come forward. Our chaplains, our prayer chaplains, and our ministers are available for you after the service. If you would like them to be in prayer with and for you for that 1-minute miracle, because that's all a prayer takes, is one moment to know the truth. So to know a higher truth, a higher wisdom, a kid wisdom for you. We've got Reverend Matthew. We've got our chaplain, Virginia. David on sound is also a chaplain. Reverend Amy is wandering around aimlessly somewhere. And if you can tackle her, she'll be happy to pray. She's a praying fool. And so we've got, and I'm probably not available today because I'm going to be doing the workshop. So I'm going to be heading that way. But all of these guys will take care of you. So let's thank them for the service that they provide to us. And just a quick reminder that we do have a Wednesday evening music and inspiration service, 7 p.m. on Wednesdays right here. We had such a wonderful service on Wednesday, this past Wednesday. Well, there were all two of you that were here. You know, I learned something a long, long time ago. A friend and I had gone to do a concert at an art gallery. And we got down there, we drove an hour and a half, we get down there, set up everything, and then the owner of the art gallery says, oh, you know, I hate to tell you this, but I forgot to promote this. And we're like, cool. So the Sherpa we brought with us was there, we were there, and I think one or two other people. My friend said, well, maybe we should just bag it and go home. And I said, oh, no, we came to do a concert, so we're going to do it like the house is packed. And I got to tell you, it was one of the best concerts ever on this planet, if I do say so myself. It was fantastic because we put our whole selves into it. Same thing happened on Wednesday evening. Ben and I did the music, so it was all instrumental music. We each played a solo, and then we played a bunch of stuff together, viola and flute. And I got to tell you, it was really cool. We had a blast, number one. And number two, we actually sounded pretty darn good, if I do say so myself. Am I right or am I right, Ben? Yeah. So you never know what you might miss by not coming on Wednesday night, because we throw some curves in there every now and then. So you might want to check it out. It's a fun time to be together and to really do some inner work. So join us on Wednesday evenings.
Yeah, not only that, I'm going to be here, right?
And this, yes,
Noel and
this Wednesday night, Rob and Noel Price are going to be doing the music for Wednesday
That's
evening.
right.
So come Wednesday evening. All right, so this is our opportunity to be reminded we live in an abundant universe with a generous God. And so I'm going to invite you to take, if you have a gift a physical gift that you're actually putting in the plates on your way out. We've got lovely people. Can you wait on that? Yeah, just leave it there, that's fine. We've got lovely people accepting your gift, and know that they're smiling under their masks and sending you really wonderful vibes and love. If you're not actually putting a physical gift in there, because I know some of you send it in, just put your hand over the offering bowl to be in that flow of abundance, to be in that divine circulation. If you do have a gift that you're dropping in, or metaphorically, if you've already done it, put that gift to your heart and infuse it with all of the qualities of God, the energies of God that most resonate with your own soul, and know that those energies, those qualities will magnify as the gift travels on and blesses others. And so know that that energy moves on. I'm going to ask us to do a new affirmation today. So if you will recite with me what's on the slide. We embody God's abundance of more than enough to enjoy, to spare, and to share. And we thank you for your gifts. Where am I? I lost my place now. Oh, we're going to do the prayer for protection. So I'm going to invite you to stand up. Ready? The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
Yes, there's peace on earth, and yes, it begins with me. Yes, there is peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God, our Creator, family all away. Yes, we walk with each other in perfect harmony.